Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Next to Madison. I am your host, Madison Malloy, and on today's episode, I am sitting down with Jeffrey Mann, who is a PR specialist. He's a master connector and relationship builder. He has partnered up with the amazing real estate business mogul and motivator, Kris Krohn, who is very popular. I'm sure a lot of you know him and follow him. Amazing guy who is doing amazing things and has really kind of mastered that work-life balance. But during our episode, we're really talking about like the importance of mentorship and relationships, how you should always try to add value. We also touch on the law of polarity and how important that is. We always hear about the law of attraction or law of vibration, but it's really all the laws that kind of need to work together and a good understanding to get you to where you really are living the life of your dreams. We also talk about limiting beliefs and how important it is to overcome those and get to the root cause of those, because our limiting beliefs are holding us back from the relationships we deserve, the life we deserve, and the financial freedom that we deserve. So this is an amazing, inspiring episode. I know you will benefit from it, enjoy it. So take notes, listen to it on replay. And if you learned something from this, I would love if you could share with your friends and your family so we can get more listeners tuned in to Next to Madison so we can continue bringing you amazing, inspiring content. So thank you so much. And we'll be right back after this brief message with our guest, Jeffrey Mann.
Hey, it's Madison Malloy. I just wanted to remind you to make sure you grab a copy of my book, Time to Lighten the Fuck Up. It is a great, funny self-help book that is going to help you get out of your own way. I have already helped thousands and thousands of people, and they are on their way to living their dream life, and I want every listener to be able to live their dream life as well. So grab a copy of the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or even the audiobook on Audible. Now back to the show.
All right, we are back with our amazing guest. So excited for this guy to be on. We have got PR specialist, master connector, and relationship builder, Jeffrey Mann with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you. So share with us real quickly what your backstory is.
So kind of crazy. So I'll walk you through it. So born in Baltimore, adopted to Boise, Idaho, grew up, my family has a family farm out there. Grew up in Idaho on a farm. I've moved to Africa 3 different times. Spent 2 years in Zimbabwe, 3 years in South Africa, and then 2 years in Ghana, West Africa.
Wow.
And so moved back. My dad did a lot of humanitarian work, and then I served a Christian mission myself, and so did my parents. And so that's what took us overseas. Came back and went to school in Utah, graduated in public relations, minored in marketing. And I kind of, based off the way that I look and I interact with people, I actually started doing personal training. And so put PR marketing on the side and did personal training, coached high school sports for years, and then loved it, loved every minute of it. And then about 2 years ago, I had been doing some freelance PR on the side. I did the whole agency thing and everything. And so I had the decision to jump full-time into public relations and work with Kris Krohn and his team or build a gym. And so I was kind of going back and forth on, do I go all in on the gym industry or do I go into something I went to school for and something that I loved? And so I decided, I was like, the gym is fun, but it burns you out. You meet amazing people and you connect, but you get a point where you're like, okay, I'm tired of people smelling like sweat and lifting weights, and there's only so much you could take. And so shifted away from that and jumped into PR. And the cool thing for me is when people think of PR, your initial thoughts are press releases, articles, all of that, just typing and that stuff. But really it's evolved into, rather than promoting and creating projects for brands or objects, you get to build people and take their message and their vision to the world. And so that's what excited me, is I got a chance to step into where Kris is, wasn't super well known outside of social media, and work on taking his name to the world in different corners and different events and just connecting with amazing people. And so every week I'm talking to new people and trying to open new doors and get into new rooms. And so it's been an exciting journey. And I think what prepared me is spending so much time in different countries. I feel like I'm able to relate to so many different people on different levels. Absolutely. And understand how to communicate with them.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So tell us about Kris. So Kris is like a wealth builder. And that's
Wealth
what you
builder.
guys are really doing. So let's talk about, because everybody wants more money.
Yeah,
Everybody, the majority of people know about the law of attraction. But as you know, very few people can actually get it to work for them.
exactly.
So let's jump
Exactly.
into that. What
Okay.
are your tips
No,
about getting it to work for you?
honestly, it's looking at your lifestyle. It's as simple as what is your daily routines? Because a lot of people think I got to spend all day trying to generate wealth and do all these things. And it's really how do you maximize your time and understanding our biggest asset is our time. And that's what costs us the most amount of money. So when you waste your time right there, just saving your time saves you a big chunk of money weekly. And so, like for Kris, his morning routine goes from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. He works out, meditation, spending time with his wife, time with his kids, listening to books, all of that. So everything that's important to him is done when most people are getting into work or starting their day.
Yeah.
And so it's really understanding what am I doing? Should I be sleeping right now? Should I be working? Should I be saying yes to people or should I be saying no? Because so many times people will even invite us, hey, let's go get lunch and let's talk. Is
Yeah.
that worth your time? Is that something that you value? Or are they just taking up your time? I think for me, one of the biggest lessons I've learned is, when you're a kid, your parents tell you no, everything, no, no, you can't do this, you can't have that. When you get older, and one of the things I saw when you got into college and you have that freedom, you want to say yes to everybody and say yes
Yeah.
to everything and go out and do. But then it cycles again. What I've learned from Kris is when you get older, you got to learn to say no again. Say, no to the wrong things and yes to the right things. And so that's the first lesson I would share with people is understand how and why you're spending your time.
Yeah.
The second thing is don't be afraid to fail. Because, and you know this, there are so many different techniques and philosophies and ideas of making money. And we want to be able to hit that home run. But I'm like, guys, not everyone is born on third base and we can get a home run easy. It takes work. Sometimes you're going to strike out. Sometimes you're going to get walked to base. But it's about finding what works for you in your life at that time.
Yeah. Very well said. No, it's so true. But I love that what you said about time, right? It's the one commodity that we all have the same of, and you can never get more of it. So, how you use it is so critical to the life you're going to live.
Big time.
And saying no to the wrong things. I mean, it even goes not only career, but it goes into relationships, right? The faster you say no to the wrong things, you make room for the right things.
Yes.
So it's all like kind of the same thing. So you've referenced Kris a lot. So share a little bit more about Kris so people know who you're talking about and why
So
he's an important
he
factor.
is big in the real estate space. Single family homes is his method. He's also big into acquiring different businesses. And I mean, for him, his goal is to have 10,000 companies. His goal is to be a trillionaire and live to 140. And so everything he does every day is working towards that and
Wow.
setting him up to achieve those things.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone in my life say, I want to be a trillionaire because they don't exist yet.
Yeah,
So, what is the
exactly.
reason that he wants to be a trillionaire?
I think the goals, so he has a nonprofit foundation. And so there's certain goals that he'll hit financially where he could give back a lot of money to his nonprofit and be able to do the things that he loves. But all of that, takes money and investments. But if you look at, the goal of, hey, I want to have 10,000 companies. Okay, you have that many companies, it leads you to X amount of money. So everything is built off each other.
Yeah.
That, hey, we have all these companies. Okay, now we can make this money. Hey, now we can give back. And so a lot of it is just a strategy of the way he wants to live his life and he carries his life. He usually works about 25 hours or less per week. Doesn't work any more than that.
Wow.
Um, I'll kind of explain to you his week. So Mondays he comes in, we have a different guest in studio. We film on our live mastermind with all his real estate partners. We do a podcast right after, and then he films for YouTube all day Monday. And then Tuesday he'll work from home, jump into meetings. Wednesday is his day, just him and his wife. They'll go do something, travel, spend time together. Thursday is the same thing, work from home meetings. Friday is his day he spends with his kids. And then Saturday is his day, and Sunday is God's day. And so that's kind of the week, how it works, and it doesn't change. And the funny thing is, I tell people, I said, he starts his morning routine at 4 a.m. And I'm like, we've been in Florida and it's been, 2 a.m. for us back home, but we're still going to the gym. No matter where we are, it continues and it's the same.
It's amazing because and when you talk about exercise and you were a former personal trainer, like that has so much to do with wealth building and your mindset, you know?
Well, and it's that method of, if you don't take care of yourself, how can you tell people you're going to take care of them in business? Everything for me translates is how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Right. It's the commitment
Yeah,
and the lifestyle and doing the things you don't want to do sometimes, like
exactly.
get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym. A lot of people
Uh-huh.
be like, I had a late night. Let's just, sleep. But it's that commitment to yourself that makes that dedication that makes like such a difference.
Yeah, and it's even helped me because I every Saturday I play basketball with some buddies at 6 a.m. And there was a month ago I got back from a trip to DC. United Denver Airport, Denver Airport got
Yes.
delayed. There was snow, got stuck. So I walked into my house about 2:39 in the morning, and I knew I got to be up at 5 to go get ready. And I quick nap, and then I was there because two things is one, I had a commitment. I told them I'm gonna be there, and so that's big for me. As my word is my bond. And then number two, I knew, hey, I get that done. I get some exercise done. Guess what? I can come home and go back to bed,
Yeah.
but I got it out of the way. Had I just slept all morning and stuff, you get up and you feel sluggish, and now you've wasted a whole Saturday.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I like that word about commitment. You did commit, and it's important to stick with your commitments.
100%.
So, okay, so let's talk about more money building strategies. Okay.
Okay.
So, if somebody is struggling with money and things just feel that like they're just in a rut, things aren't going exactly how it should, what would be your advice besides just looking at your lifestyle and your habits?
So look at what you want to do and find someone who's already doing it. So many people think they need to reinvent the recipe. But if you want to make perfect brownies, the recipe is there, you follow it, you make them, it'll turn out how it says if you follow everything exactly. But we want to change ingredients and change measurements and stuff. The biggest thing I'll say is find someone, whether it's real estate, whether it's consult for equity, whatever it is, who's excelling at what they do and follow them, learn them. We need to, and it hurts because you got to invest some money, but find someone that can mentor you or coach you and help you because they've already done it. And so it's like they know what they're doing. There's no sense in trying to forge your own path when you can jump in and follow them and they've cleared it for you. And I think that's the biggest mistake we look at is, we want to be successful, we want to do it on our own. I'm like, guys, there is millions of people on TikTok, Instagram who have great, just follow them.
Yeah. No, it's so true. So, how does one find a mentor? Because it's not as easy as saying, okay, this person is doing what I want to do. A lot of times you can't get in touch with them. They're too busy or they really don't want to help that person. How, because I've actually struggled in my life trying to find a mentor.
So
I
I
think they're
think,
very important.
yeah, and that's what's been tough for me is, I'm in a space where I'm around amazing people, amazing entrepreneurs, influencers, and so I get to connect with them. But 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would have never been able to have their numbers or reach out or
Yeah.
just listen. And so I think it's for some people, maybe you're starting small, someone who may not be a huge name, but they're doing really well. I had several guys in just my basketball group who aren't known, but their businesses are making millions of dollars a year. And after a night, we sat and we just talked, and he offered insight to one of the young kids. And it's like, talk to everybody. We don't know who around us may be excelling, succeeding. So many times this person looks a certain way, so I don't want to connect with them. But we can learn little golden nuggets from everyone that we meet. And so that's where I think you have to start is start having conversations, start pulling things and learning things. And then you start meeting people and connecting. But it's about having those initial conversations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because everyone down here has a story and a purpose and a path. And I think it's important that we all become better listeners too. I think a lot
Yeah.
of us listen to respond instead of listening to really take in the information.
Yeah, for sure.
And that can be a good thing. So I know you're a relationship builder. What are your tips to build just lasting, amazing relationships? Because your network is your net worth.
Yes. Yes, I can't tell how many times I've interviewed for jobs and they never ask, well, what's your degree? I mean, it looks great on the wall in an office, but it's really, who do you know? And that's the
100%.
big change that I've seen. And I'm sure you've seen this. Um, Honestly, relationship building for me is about giving. When you go into a room, ask yourself, how can I add value? How can I serve the people in the room? Because there's a different energy when I go in the room and I'm trying to take and trying to just hand out business cards. It never works. People do not gel when people are overly transactional.
Oh
And
my God.
so yeah, yeah, it's they just, let's do business, business, business. I'm like, guys, just form a relationship, get to know them. One of the things that I've learned is when I go in the rooms, I meet people, I make sure I spend time to talk to their spouses, to their assistants, because people, they rush straight to that influence, but they don't make time for their team and the people who've put in the work to create an event, to create a mastermind. And so for me, I think the biggest thing is just humble yourself and be willing to talk to someone's assistant and just have a genuine conversation without anything, in the back of your mind. I'm having this conversation for ABC. Just talk to them, get to know them.
Yeah, no, that's such great advice. Like I love the value thing because I used to tell people this as well. Like always go in with what you can do for them, not what they can do for you. Because if you go into
Exactly.
what can you do for me, it's just a shutdown of the energy.
Yep.
And the energy
100%.
and you believe this, it's like the more you give, the more you get. That's just how God and the universe designed it. You
Yeah.
can't be a taker, you have to be a giver. The more you give, the more you get. It's a universal balance.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that I learned, and I think people can tune into this, and I think something you'd like is I work with a human behavior specialist, and one of the things that we talk about a lot is the law of polarity and the way it works in the universe. That if I walk into a room and someone's speaking negative of me, someone also is speaking positive of me. It's a balance. You can't have a negative without a positive. You can't have a positive without a negative. It's a universal balance that work off each other. If you look at any sports game, you have fans that are cheering for one team and then they hate that same team. And so if you look at that and understand that's how the universe works and operates, anything negative that happens in my day doesn't bother me because I know there's positive to follow. And vice versa, I know I could be having a great day, a big win and everything. And when something negative happens, I already am expecting, okay, it's part of that universal balance. They're tied together. It's like a rose has thorns. It can be a beautiful flower, but at the same time, you can prick yourself and you can bleed. And so you got to take what you get and make the most of it.
Yeah, that no, I think one of the law of polarity is not talked enough about, and it's part of the universal laws. And when I went back to my first question for you, is like getting the law of attraction to work for you. I think what I found, I don't know if you agree, is like the reason it doesn't work is because the law of attraction is one of the laws, and they all have to work together.
Yeah.
So if you don't have all an understanding of all of them, then you can't get one or the other to work for you. But I like how you said, like, if somebody's saying something negative, somebody's saying something positive. So what is your advice to people? Because a lot of people don't like the hurtful comments. They don't like people talking negatively about them. They try to be people pleasers, make everybody happy. But the truth is, the more successful you are, the more you're doing, the more haters you're going to have. So, what is your advice to combat that and not let it get to you?
So for me, there's two things. I think the first, and even if you look at your Instagram, you have an amazing large following and everything. And when you have followings like that, negative comments follow. But what people don't realize is to Instagram, the algorithm doesn't care if it's a negative or a positive comment. All they see is its engagement and it helps you to grow. And so I tell people in the space of social media, don't worry about the negative comments because for you, it's actually helping your account to grow and your algorithm to peak. And so people, you can have trolls and everything. And I'm like, guys, they don't realize they're actually helping you.
Yeah.
And so to me, I spoke to, I was at an event and I met Justin Waller and he shared on a podcast a few weeks later is he goes through and he picks one negative comment and sends them a DM and just says, hey, I hope you're doing well. I just want to see you win. And they don't know how to deal with that because here they are trying to catch you, get you to say something crazy, and you just celebrate them and hope they win. And so for me, I think that's the biggest thing is understanding that negativity will come, but in the world that we live in with influencers and growth, welcome the negative comments. Welcome. That means people are spending their time to talk about you. I tell people all the time. I'm not sure if you've met Andy Elliott before. Obviously seen
Yeah,
him
he's
on
been on
social
this
media and
podcast.
everything. Okay. And
Yeah.
so he and I actually, you can't see him, but I'm wearing the same shorts that he wears because his philosophy is people stop and look and see. Now I've caught your attention. So everything
He's
out of
got
your
great
day.
quads
Yep.
though. He's
Yep.
working his ass off on those quads.
Yep. Yep. No, it's true. And so, I even increased my leg day just so I could make them work. But it's so true because like I literally the other day I was walking and this kid stopped me just to look at my legs. And it's like you're capturing these people's attention without doing any work, just the way you carry yourself. And they may react a certain way and stuff, but it's like, hey, I've made you take time out of your day to either talk to me or acknowledge me. Now I've captured you. And now I know that I can connect with this person. And
Yeah.
so it's little things like that, is tweaking and finding things that work for you. And because you'll stick out. For me, I live in Utah, which is predominantly a white community and state and everything. So I already know going into things, I'm going to be one of the only people in the room. I'm going to look different. I work out a ton, so I know I stick out already. And so I use that to my advantage because I'm like, this is where the cards that are dealt to me. I could either take it one way or I could use it and get me into more rooms and connect with more people.
Yeah, I like that. Although the short thing doesn't as I feel like it doesn't work really for women because the shorter the shorts and or like because I was gonna make a joke like, oh, I've tried that with my tits, but I don't get the right attention. You know what I mean? Like I feel like women, we've got to do something else.
Fair
You don't
enough.
want to get the wrong attention. Like I can't wear the Andy Elliott and Jeffrey Mann shirts, like shorts. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'd find a husband, who knows, but maybe not the right husband. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and that's actually, I just talked to a girl and we were talking about being in the gym, and she was talking about the stuff that she wears and stuff because in that space, men cannot have a conversation with her without sexualizing her. Versus, I'm like, how can you just not? She's like, they just can't come talk to me and be normal. It's like they're so focused on what they're wearing, what they look like, and I'm like, guys, obviously, she's here for your goals. You're here for your goals. Why can't you just say hi? And I even had a buddy of mine, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. I'm like, go talk to her. No, I can't. I'm like, you can't say hi. There always has to be a means to an end. And I'm like, it shouldn't have to be that way.
No, definitely not. But I think a lot of people are intimidated. I mean, I won't approach a guy at a bar. I'm intimidated. And I'm sure he's intimidated by me. So maybe I miss out on some great things. If I don't like the guy, I can easily go up to anybody. But if I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, he's kind of cute, all of a sudden I go into this like zone where I'm like pulled back. I'm like, oh my gosh. I think it's, somehow it's like, oh, am I going to get rejected?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an
Well,
interesting
and keep in mind, if you get rejected, someone also is not going to reject you. It's
law of
that
polarity,
universal
baby.
balance. Yep.
This is true. I like that because I always tell people, and like, I work in this space like you guys do, and it's, you know, one of our fears, biggest irrational fears is the fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And the more you get rejected, the less you are fearful of it because you're gonna, it's not gonna kill you. It's only drags you further. So I always try to tell myself and people like aim to get rejected as much as you can because
Yeah.
you're taking chances. So it's going to be,
Exactly. And
I take a ton of chances, but when it comes to
yeah.
relationship stuff, I'm like very shy.
Well, maybe that's your challenge for this week. Maybe you need to make
That
a
is
point
my
approach
challenge for
someone
the
every
week.
night.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I will. I'll just be like, hi, how are you?
Okay, listen, I'm gonna message you on Saturday and be like, hey, how'd the week go? How many people did we approach?
Yeah, because they usually approach me, but sometimes they don't. And my guy friends will be like, you're not really approachable. And I'm like, I'm so friendly. Everybody talks to me. Like the girls talk to me, and they're like, guys don't talk to you because they're probably like, you're gonna shut my ass down. And I'm
Well, and
like,
the thing is, the worst thing they can say is no. But if they say yes, you have all these open doors now.
and then I got a real problem. I got a full calendar. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, oh, I wasn't talking to you for a date. I just thought we could network together. They're gonna be like, wait, that's not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted.
Exactly.
But you're also, one of the things you do is you're a master connector. And I want to talk about this because I was out in the Hamptons this past weekend, and
Okay.
everybody's trying to meet, some of the girls are trying to chase a wallet, people are chasing business things, people are trying to one up each other. It's a very like who's better than whose dick is bigger, aka wallet's bigger. It's great, but it's fun, and it's kind of fun, being at an elevated vibration to kind of sit back and watch this go down. It's like a live movie type thing. But I
Yeah.
meet this person very high up at this very big bank, and I had also met the night before a girl that works there. And so immediately, and she was at the same party, I'm like, get down here, get over here. And so I connect those two because he's much higher than her. But I'm like, you guys work at the same place. You need to talk. You need to have lunch. And she's like, thank you so much for doing that. So many people would never do that. They don't, they like want to keep their connections and everything to themselves. And like nobody wants to like open doors for people. And I
Yeah.
told her, I said, well, listen, what's meant for you can never pass you. So for me, helping you is just something that I feel like I'm doing the Lord's work. I'm not in
Yeah.
competition with anyone, and neither are you, and neither are your friends. So when people don't want to connect you or help you, it's just their own insecurities, and don't take it personally. But
Exactly.
what I mean, and like she's like, well, I'm going to help you with this. And I go, I don't do things to get something in return, but if you would want to, I would love that. But it's like
Yeah.
important, and that's probably what you found in connecting people, is that they're like, gosh, Jeffrey did that really cool thing for me, now I'm thinking of him,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know
and it's you're so right, and it's so true because so many people they want to hoard their connections and keep them to themselves. And I'm like, I have a buddy I met, good friend of Chris's, who texted me and said, "Hey, I have these big guys coming to Utah. They'd love to do an interview with Kris. Here's their number." He connected with me. I didn't even see him that day. Picked him up. We did an amazing interview. The interview had 1 million views. It was great. I now have a great relationship with them. But it was because he didn't have to reach out to me. He didn't have to connect. But I know whenever I know there's someone that he may be interested in meeting or connecting, I will always throw it his way and he'll throw it to me. And so it's a huge thing about how can it goes back to that serving and that giving
yeah.
is, I'll meet people every day and they may not be a fit for Kris, but I know it could be someone else. They'd be a great fit and there'd be amazing synergy. And so why not pass that off? And many times when I do that, they come back to me and say, hey, you should talk to this person or you should connect with this person. And so it really benefits everybody when you share because they may know someone that you didn't even think about. You may know someone that they may not even know. And so it's connecting those dots for each other and helping. It's just about all of us helping each other win rather than competing against each other. And because we can all compete and look, but I had an interesting video I watched the other day by Dan Fleischman. He talked about, so many people are trying to compete to have events. But he was like, look, if I'm in LA and I have an event with 2,000 people, there can be another event with 5,000 people right down the road. There are so many people that if we just try and hoard them and everything, guys, you're never going to get the whole, state of California at one event. You could have 10 events and still have thousands of people who aren't even at them. And so it's really understanding is, hey, if this is an event that works for someone, there may be one that doesn't. So it's about sharing and giving and helping us all land in spaces where we can benefit and work best for us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So that's a reminder to all the listeners, the more you give, the more you get, and celebrate your wins, because 2,000 people at an event is a big win. Who cares if
Yeah,
it's 5,000? Maybe you'll have 5,000 the next time. Connect with that person. Maybe you team up and you get 7,000.
exactly.
You
Exactly.
just never know. Or maybe they're teaching something that's slightly different. You're like, hey, there's people at my event that had a great time, but they could really benefit from your stuff. I'm gonna, send some people your way.
Exactly.
They'll
And
probably do
and
the
I
same
think
thing for you.
yeah, exactly. And for me, the other thing is, I've been at many events where you had Andy Elliott, David Goggins, Ed Millette speaking on stages. But for me, the fun part for me is back in the green rooms when they're with their families, when they're, that stage presence is gone and they're just talking and listening to their conversations. There's so much more. I'm like, I told my parents, I don't need to go sit by the stage at all. I just want to be in the back and just listen and observe and see how they interact, how do they prepare to go on stage, how do they decompress after they come off stage. And that for me, the biggest thing is when you can meet these people behind the stage, behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and see that they're real people. I mean, I tell people all the time that, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Kris is so big, he's amazing, this. And I'm like, I wish you guys could see the family man who spends time with his kids in the morning, who watches anime with his daughters. I mean, so many amazing things. He went to Brigham Young University. It's where he met his wife. And, that's the beautiful part for me is remove the private jets and the fancy cars and everything. I love to tell the story of who these people are, their faith in God, their faith in their family, their connectivity to themselves, their connectivity to God and to their family. I mean, that's the fun part of me is being able to craft that narrative and that story around here's who they really are. Because I feel like when we can get the soul into the heart of who people are, that's the people we want to invest in and follow and spend time with. The real estate, the money, everything will come with it. But if we can connect to them on a human level, then I feel like we know that's how we can really change lives.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's 100% because everybody is human. And when you start idolizing people, you make them not real, and they don't want that.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to like be authentic and connect. But no, that's like it's such an exciting world. There's so many great motivational people. And it's like when you get back to the core of it, of who they are, like how they started, we all come out the same. Maybe we're,
Yeah.
come from luckier families, or as many call it, the lucky sperm bank trust funds, but most people don't. And the majority of the people that are doing something big with their lives came from nothing. And so
Yeah.
it's learn their story, because everybody wants to talk about their story and their struggles and where they came from, and embracing the struggles, because they can't be giving this great advice if they didn't experience that stuff themselves.
Exactly. And I think it goes back to no matter how much money we have or we make, when we die, it's not going with us. And so it's really understanding that what is the legacy? What do people remember you for with your time that you're given here on earth? Because the other thing is we don't know when it's checkout day and God's going to call us back.
No.
So with the time that we have, what are we doing with it?
No, right. Because none of it, I mean, I think most people think like, oh yeah, I'm going to live till I'm older, which is why they save so much for retirement. And that's what you hope. But there's really no guarantee about that. But yeah, the legacy is important. And it's not a legacy of the amount of money you leave all the time. It's how you treated people and how you
Yes.
made them feel, which is the most important, because that's what people are going to be talking about at your funeral. They're going to be talking about like, he had so much money in the bank and a stock portfolio that amazing.
Uh-huh.
How you treated people. And it's true. It's like that reminder of like, go out every day looking to add value to people's lives, and you're going to
Exactly.
see in return.
Exactly. I
You
love
know,
that.
but yeah, because it's like that's all you can do, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so what are some of your, like, when you coach people, when you and Kris are, building somebody up, what is some of your best advice that you give them, besides like obviously managing their time and things that we've talked about?
I think it's understanding on what is happening in their lives. What are the things that are holding them back? What are the limiting beliefs that they have? One of the things that I love that Kris does is he does breakthroughs with people and really helping them overcome those limiting beliefs. Because until you overcome that, you can't get anywhere. Because no matter what you try and do, no matter what coach you bring in, you're still gonna have that thing that's holding you back.
Okay, so how do you break limiting beliefs? Because we all have them, and they usually started at a very young age, and then we've carried them through our entire existence. So
I
how do
think
you break it?
it's going back and talking about it, having someone walk you through what that experience was like, how that experience bothered you, and then going through the process of, okay, let's reshape the mindset, let's reshape how you interacted with that situation. Because so many times we want to just sweep it under the rug and we never address it. And we just keep walking past it, walking over it. But if we can go to the root of the problem, of the root of the issue, and take it head on, it's not easy. It's tough and sometimes it sucks, but you feel so much better after you've gone through that process and you've been able to overcome it or start the process of overcoming it. I'm not saying, one sit down, you can conquer it and be done, but you start that process and you slowly chip at it till you're able to knock it down. And so for most people and people watching this, it's about starting. Just get started and find your way, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a human behavior specialist, whether it's a life coach, whatever it is for you that needs to be there to help you overcome it. Everyone has something different. I worked for therapists for years and it never really clicked. And then when I started working with a human behavior specialist who started helping me understand myself, then I understood others. One of the biggest lessons for me understanding is people value different things. So for me, I was always becoming frustrated when people weren't holding commitments. But he said to me, that's the value you have. That may not be something that they value. They may look at it differently. They may be able to think, I can just say it, and if it happens, it happens. It doesn't. Who cares? And so it's understanding that we all have different values and belief systems, and focusing on myself and helping them understand, well, here's what I value, here's what I believe, and then seeing how they can coexist with each other.
Yeah. No, that's very, very well said. So before we wrap up, first of all, on that topic, what is the most common limiting belief that you have found most people have?
That we're not good enough.
Yeah.
That imagine you walk in a room with a bunch of celebrities and you're saying to yourself, I'm not good enough to talk to them. And you'd miss out on the opportunity. I was at a party and I went and I met Donald Trump Jr., had a short conversation with him. And the thing for me, I was like, I look at what his dad's going through, the life that he is, but here he is in Utah making time to talk to, just a PR person. And so had I said, well, I'm not good enough, or I'm not on that level, I would have never walked over and had that conversation or introduced myself. And so it's really, I think that's the big one is, it's like you said, we put people on a pedestal and then we feel like we're not on a level to talk to them. And I'm like, guys, if you, at some point, outside of trust funds, at some point, they were like you and they've gotten to this place and they know what it takes. And so just take belief on yourself and talk to them and have a conversation and introduce yourself. I mean, I heard a guy talk about it yesterday. He said, when you walk into a room, go to the most important person and go introduce yourself. Because once you've done that, no one else you're going to meet the rest of the day will be as stressful as that. Yeah, you've conquered the mountain. And so now all the little hills and different rivers aren't going to be as tough because you've already gone through and you've gone through that. The other philosophy he shared is when you go to the table, what's the most awkward people are at a buffet when they're dishing up their plate. But if you stand there and make a conversation while they're doing that, A, they're stuck. They're not going to leave because they're dishing up their food. And B, they're not regularly talking to anybody else. So now you have their attention.
Yeah.
And so it's finding those hacks that I think work for you and understanding that no matter who you are, where you come from, what you believe, everybody is enough. And that's the beautiful thing I love, about my religion and my faith is that God views us all on the same playing field, whether we're a billionaire, whether we have no money, whether we're a village in Africa, wherever we may be, we are all his children and we are all valued and viewed the same way.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. I love that. I love that. Okay. So what do you find are the top traits of people that have built wealth? Like what's a wealthy mindset? The traits of a wealthy mindset.
They have their routine figured out. They have surrounded themselves with the right supporting cast. They are not afraid to take a chance on things. They don't play too small. And I think the last one is, and I have never met any wealthy or successful person who didn't have a mentor or a coach themselves.
Yeah.
They all had someone they looked to and they leaned on.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Very well said. Okay. So where can people find you, work with you, listen to your podcasts, reach out to all that?
Just connect with me on Instagram, Jeffrey Mann _, or if you want to connect with Kris, send him a DM, they'll funnel it to me. But yeah, one of the things that I love is I create a platform with all the amazing people like you that I meet. I go on my Instagram and share the golden nuggets and the little things that I learned from them that I get to see behind the scenes that most people don't get to see or learn.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be on Next to Madison. You were a great guest, even though we're not physically next to each other. We're next to each other on the Zoom. So,
No, I appreciate it. And I think we should run it back, but this time in New York. I think
absolutely
that's
100%.
got to be the next one.
We gotta make that happen. I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who's listening, wherever you may be. We will see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.